Everything that you've said, I found to be true. So first of all,
That's great.
I
Yay.
have been a fan of Astrology Hub for well over a year. And right after Jake died, my son, I turned heavily to astrology among other holistic healing modalities, energy healing modalities. And I've always been interested in astrology. And I was so fascinated by the community that you have created, the amazing astrologers, and the diversity of their studies. And now it seems like astrology is everywhere. So, what were your early introductions and when did you? And I love your reference to a lot of water because you do live on Maui and
Yes.
the waves of energy and things is such a beautiful way to describe all of this. What were your early what was your early exposure? Do you remember when you found out about astrology or discovered it was more than a horoscope in Cosmo magazine back in the
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I
back in the
remember
day?
it. It's a moment I will never, ever forget because it was such a game changer for me. So like you just mentioned, before this moment, I hadn't even given astrology a second thought. Like I kind of wrote it off as one of those weird things that, some people are into, but it couldn't possibly be real because how could everybody, for example, born in January be just like me? Like that just made no sense to me. And because I didn't know anything beyond the sun sign, right? So I thought it was kind of silly. Then I moved to Hawaii from New York City, which you already kind of alluded to, but I was out on the big island and I was starting to go through a lot of changes. And a friend reached out to me, a friend that I had known in New York, and said, I just had an astrology reading with someone and I really think you should do it. I think she's in Hawaii somewhere and I just think that you would love it. So I looked the woman up. Not only was she in Hawaii, but she was on the big island. Not only was she on the big island, but she was literally 10 minutes down the street from me. So I set up the reading and I was able to actually go have a reading in person, which these days is actually quite rare because a lot of the astrology readings you do online, right? So I showed up with really no expectations, except for that my friend who I really trusted said it was mind-blowing. And I sat down we sat down for tea. It was so sweet, the whole experience. And she starts to read my chart. And I could not believe that she was looking at this piece of paper with a circle and some lines and squiggly things and explaining the depths of my soul, and even giving reference to my relationship with my father and my mother and my brothers. I come from a big family. I have 3 brothers. I'm the only girl. She knew things about them from what she was seeing on this little piece of paper. And she was able to articulate things about me that I knew, they like struck a chord of resonance, but I couldn't speak to. And so it was just this, I remember sitting at this, basically kitchen nook in her house with tears streaming down my face, thinking, wow, first of all, how come nobody knows about this? Like, how come nobody knows how powerful this thing is? And second of all, I had done like 13 years of Catholic school. I had studied world religions in college. I have my master's in psychology, all in this search of the question, or the answer to the question, why are we here? Like, what is going on here? And sitting at her kitchen nook was my first evidence, like what felt like tangible evidence of a divine intelligence that was so beyond anything I could possibly comprehend. And it was one of those just complete, as I love your record scratch moment, it was a complete record scratch moment of like, whoa, there's something going on here that is just bigger and more magical and beautiful than I could have ever expected.